Welcome to another exciting episode of Sports Central, my loyal viewers. As always, we're brought to you by the wonderful people at C.A. Durr & Company, makers of the most delicious soda. Durr soda comes in 3 great flavors: strawberry, cream soda, and orange pineapple. So make sure you buy some refreshing Durr soda to cool you off on, well, it's not hot anymore, so never mind, but still buy some Durr soda. Anyways, in the sports action in the last week, the Castle football team's perfect season finally came to an end on Friday in the regional championship game. The Knights traveled up to Greenwood, Indiana to face the mighty Center Grove Trojans. And in a very very action-packed game, Castle fell 58-34. The game was much closer than that 24-point spread. The two teams traded points throughout the first half. Castle even led at different points in the half: 13-7, 19-14, 27-22 throughout that first half. Center Grove scored 2 touchdowns late in the half to take a 37-27 lead at the break. The high-paced scoring action continued into the third quarter with each team scoring, so it was 44-34 at the end of 3. But the Castle offense was eventually derailed due to injuries. Receiver John Mark Anderson left the game at halftime. Was taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons. He ended up breaking his rib up here, his first rib, the one way up here. Kind of a scary injury. And then early in the fourth quarter, Cameron Paris, Castle's other big-time receiver, got his leg rolled up and broke his leg. Left the game, obviously. Joe Redburn missed some action in the second half. Andrew Finch, running back, left the game. So Castle's offense really got beat down by Center Grove's hard-hitting defense, and it really hurt them late. They didn't add on to their 34-point total at all. Center Grove scored 2 late touchdowns to go up 58-34 and really put the game away. On the game, Mitch Gillis, Castle's quarterback, was 36 for 57 with 425 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and he also had 2 rushing touchdowns. Before leaving the game, Cameron Paris had 11 catches, 167 yards, and 2 scores. In just one half of action, John Mark Anderson had 12 catches for 147 yards. So, those numbers right there just really show you how potent Castle's offense was before being limited by injuries. Who knows if Castle, if they were healthy, if they would even won that game, because Center Grove's offense was scoring at at the same rate or even a higher rate than Castle's offense. So who knows if they would have won, but it would have definitely been a completely different game if those guys stay in the game. So that loss obviously ends Castle's season. They finished with a 12-1 record, but that Castle team is one of the more potent offensive teams in the area in a long time. That senior class, which includes the likes of Gillis, Paris, John Mark Anderson, linebacker Ray Thornberry, Braden Sims, Jake McCandless, a ton of seniors were very successful. They won 2 Southern Indiana Athletic Conference titles. They went undefeated twice in the regular season. They won 2 sectionals, 1 as sophomores, 1 as seniors. So very, very successful senior class, and just offensively, the numbers that the Knights put up this year are just mind-boggling. Gillis threw for 3,006 yards and 43 touchdowns. John Mark Anderson had 78 catches for 1,323 yards and 19 touchdowns, and a running touchdown for 20 total. Paris had 74 catches, 1,273 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Joe Redburn, who was Castle's 3rd option, but statistically and talent-wise he would have been the number 1 on a lot of teams, had 45 catches for 705 yards and 8 scores. And it wasn't all through the air. Andrew Finch finished the season with 1,252 yards on the ground and 15 touchdowns. So just huge numbers from Castle. They were very fun to watch this year and last year. It's a little disheartening to see those guys go down like they did. And I know it's going to be a pretty emotional goodbye after talking to Coach Hurt after the game. But those guys have nothing to be ashamed of. They were one of the best teams in the whole state of Indiana the last couple of years. So congratulations to the Castle Knights. And a little bit better news for Warwick County sports. A very successful night last night in girls basketball. Boonville traveled to Central and beat the Bears 44-40 to start their year 1-0. Castle was at home against last year's SIC champion, the Bossy Bulldogs, and the Knights pulled out a 58-55 victory to improve to 2-0 on the year. And up in Linville, Tecumseh hosted longtime rival Wood Memorial, and the Braves rolled to a 49-31 win in their first game of the year, so they start the year out 1-0 as well. So a nice start for all three Warwick County girls basketball teams. And all three are in action coming up later this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, Cannleton travels to Tecumseh for a 6 o'clock game. On Saturday, Boonville goes to Southridge for a 7 o'clock tip, and Castle's at South Spencer at 7:30 on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, Tecumseh hits the road, goes to Barree for a 7 o'clock basketball game. In other winter sports, the Boonville wrestling team hosts the Pioneer Duels on Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock. It's going to last all day. It's one of the first wrestling meets of the year for anybody in the state of Indiana. And I know, Coach Marchand and Coach Wilkie at Boonville like to get started early. It's usually about 5 or 6 teams. Boonville usually does pretty well, fares very nicely in that dual meet. So stop by Boonville Saturday afternoon, morning sometime. Catch the Wrestling Pioneers. And boys basketball is right around the corner. Scrimmages start this weekend. Games start next weekend after Thanksgiving. Boonville's at Central on Friday at 6. Castle's at Washington at noon on Saturday. And North Knox is at Tecumseh at 1 on Saturday for those basketball scrimmages. So if you want to sneak peek at your basketball teams, get out to those scrimmages this weekend. And that wraps up another thrilling episode of Sports Central. As always, I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. And buy some Bitter Soda, and make sure to check it out